Alright, so today we are going to be solving absolute value inequalities. And make sure you write these down. These are inequality symbols. So the one that looks like a smushed L is a less than. The other direction is a greater than. If there's a line underneath it, that adds an equal to it. So that third one is a less than or equal to. Fourth one is greater than or equal to. Okay, so just like absolute value equations, absolute value inequalities will have two cases that will need to be solved. The two answers can be written as one depending on the symbol in the original problem. So for our first example, we have the absolute value of 4x minus 2 is greater than 10. So for case 1, we're going to rewrite that inequality without the symbols, and then we'll solve it. So the first step to solving it is adding 2 to both sides. And when we add 2 to both sides, we're going to get 4x is greater than 12. Okay, and then we just want to divide both sides by 4. And after dividing by 4, we're going to get x is greater than 3. Okay, and then we move on to case 2. And case 2 is similar to case 2 when we had equations. So if you notice, not only did the right-hand side become negative, but the symbol flips. Okay, that's going to happen for every inequality. So next we just want to solve by adding 2 to both sides. And after adding 2, we do get 4x is less than negative 8. And our last step is to divide both sides by 4. And after dividing, we're going to get x is less than negative 2. Okay, so the answer for a greater than inequality is combined using the word or. Okay, we don't want to just write them separately that way. Okay, we know x is going to be greater than 3, but x could also be less than negative 2. So this is how we write our answer. Okay, and the order that you write this doesn't matter. You could put x is less than negative 2 first, and then x is greater than 3. Just make sure they are separated by the word or. So for example 2, we have the absolute value of 6x plus 1 is less than or equal to 17. So again, case 1 is just the same inequality, just without the absolute value symbols. Okay, so we start off by subtracting the 1 to get 6x is less than or equal to 16. And then of course we would want to divide by the 6. And when we divide by 6, 6 can't go into 16 evenly. So we will want to reduce the fraction by 2. When we reduce it by 2, we're going to get x is less than or equal to 8/3. Okay, so that is case 1. Case 2, again, we want to flip that inequality symbol and change the right-hand side to a negative. And then we can solve. So again, we subtract 1 from both sides, just like the other problem. And we're going to get 6x is greater than or equal to negative 18. Divide both sides by 6. And 6 does divide into 18 evenly, so we're going to get x is greater than or equal to negative 3. Okay, so if you notice in this problem, the original problem, this symbol was a less than symbol. So for a less than sign, your answer can be combined using the word and. Okay, it can also be combined to form one inequality instead of two separate ones. Okay, so you could write it this way, but we don't usually see answers written that way. So when we rewrite this, we're going to rewrite it like this. Okay, x will have to be in the middle, and order does matter when we're writing it this way. We always want to put the smaller number on the left, the larger number on the right. Okay, and then we look very carefully at the symbols. Okay, if you notice when x is greater than or equal to negative 3, the symbol is opening towards the x. So if you remember back in junior high, the alligator mouth eats the bigger number. Well, when we rewrite our inequality as 1, make sure that inequality symbol is still eating the x. So that's why it looks like it was flipped around. But really, the 3 and the x just kind of switch places, so when doing that, the symbol has to move as well. So on to example 3. we have the absolute value of 3 minus 2x is less than 7. So case 1 is written like this. We're going to want to subtract 3 from both sides of the inequality. Upon doing that, we're going to get a negative 2x is less than 4. And then we're going to divide both sides of the inequality by a negative 2 to get x is greater than negative 2. So if you notice, our symbol somehow just flipped. Okay, and the reason for this is that when we divide both sides of an inequality by negative 2, or any negative number, okay, the symbol will flip. Okay, and you have to be dividing or multiplying both sides of the inequality by negative 2. Okay, if that 2 was positive and the 4 was negative, we wouldn't flip the sign. Okay, we only flip it when we are dividing or multiplying two sides of the inequality by a negative. So moving on to case 2. Hopefully you remember that the inequality symbol will flip and the 7 will become negative. And then we solve it the same way we did case 1. So we're going to start by subtracting 3 from both sides to get negative 2x is greater than negative 10. Okay, divide by negative 2 again. So again, our symbol will flip. So it's going to be a less than, and negative 10 divided by negative 2 is 5. Okay, and so our answer is negative 2 is less than x is less than 5. Okay, and again, we're not separating these by the word or because in our original problem, that symbol was a less than. Okay, for a less than symbol, we want to combine the two equations together. Okay, so here are the key things to remember. Okay, first of all, for case 2, you want to flip the symbol and change the right-hand side to a negative. Okay, for combining your answers, remember this little saying, less than greater. Okay, so that means that when you have a less than symbol, you're going to combine your answers using the word and, or just combine them to form one inequality. For a greater than symbol, you're going to write or in between your two inequalities. Okay, and third, if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative, flip the symbol. It's incredibly important, do not forget that. Okay, so I want you guys to try this problem on your own. You're going to solve the absolute value of 2x minus 4 is greater than 8. Okay, I'm not going to show you how to do the problem here, but I am going to give you the answer. So I want you to keep trying this problem until you get x is greater than 6 or x is less than negative 2. Make sure you have both of those. Okay, the whole thing is your answer. Okay, if you are unable to get the answer, we can go over the problem in class tomorrow. And remember, write down any questions you had while watching this. Okay, I will answer all your questions in class tomorrow.